We can get some perspective on this story now with Sudha David-Wilpes. She is a senior transatlantic fellow and deputy director of the German Marshall Fund's Berlin office. Hi, Sudha. It's good to see you. I want to ask you about this meeting we saw between Joe Biden and Olaf Scholz. If there was an overarching message, it was that we stand united, we stand together. How convincing do you think that message was?
Good to see you too, Sumi. I think that Joe Biden definitely had the back of Chancellor Olaf Scholz because he's had a very hard couple of weeks. He's had a hard time turning around the narrative that Germany is not a reliable ally or sort of the weakest link in the transatlantic relationship. So this trip to Washington was really done to regain credibility and also to assure Joe Biden and the White House that he and his government is in lockstep with the United States when it comes to the conflict in Ukraine. And I think he has to do a number of things, which he did do. He emphasized that Germany is the largest donor to Ukraine. The defense ministry just announced that it's going to send an additional 350 troops, which was already planned, but they're accelerating the timetable, to Lithuania, to the eastern flank of NATO, and coordinate with allies on strong economic sanctions. Nord Stream 2 was still left a little vague, but that could be to Scholz's advantage as well.
Yeah, well, if you look at the details of what was said, they were asked by a few reporters about what is on the table if Russia does invade Ukraine again. Why do you think they were so vague about the sanctions that would be implemented?
I mean, it could have been that Olaf Scholz was looking to sort of please a domestic audience, that he still didn't want to necessarily put Nord Stream out there right away, and looks at it as a point of leverage, especially since he's also due to be in Moscow next week. But at the end of the day, I think the message was very clear from President Biden. He said that Nord Stream 2 would not go forward if there was a further incursion into Ukraine territory. And because of Scholz's response, I can't imagine that the pipeline would go forward. Instead, it would be dead on arrival if Russia takes another aggressive move at the border.
You mentioned some domestic pressure for Olaf Scholz. What do you make of the fact that he couldn't even mention the words Nord Stream 2?
Well, there are a lot of splits within his party still. There are many SPD members that see Russia as a country that needs to have, we have to have dialogue with this country, and they see economic cooperation as a way to open up Russia. But I think this belief or this value system is a thing of the past, this idea of Wandel durch Handel, or change through trade, because of Russia's aggressive moods. Ukraine is clearly the victim here. And don't forget that this Wandel through Handel idea happened under the backdrop of deterrence, something that Germany is still very shy to move forward with in terms of sending lethal weapons to Ukraine.
Overall, do you think Chancellor Scholz did enough to convince Germany's allies that his country can be counted on as a defense partner?
I think there will be certain people that are not convinced by his messaging in Washington. But what counts is that President Biden stood alongside him during the press conference and said that Germany is a reliable ally. That was very clear. So he has his back, but now it's up to Germany to deliver. If there is an aggressive move on the part of Russia, will Germany act in coordination with the United States? Will there be any hesitation? Will Germany be a partner to the United States when it comes to also confronting China? These are all questions that are on the table, and it will now be in Germany's court to react.
Sudha David-Wilpes, Senior Transatlantic Fellow and Deputy Director of the German Marshall Fund's Berlin office. Good to talk to you.